Cancer, it's increasingly common in our dogs and cats, but there's a whole bunch of myths. These are the top 7 from an alternative point of view.
Are you looking to learn more about natural pet health and wellness? You've come to the right place. Click the link to subscribe to Veterinary Secrets.
Cancer is defined as abnormal, uncontrolled cell growth in the body. Do you know that 1 in 4 of all dogs, they're going to develop cancer at some point in their lifetime? And nearly 50% of all dogs over the age of 10, they're going to get diagnosed with cancer. With cats, the rate is also really high. 1 in 5 of all cats, they're going to develop cancer at some point in their lifetime. And that cancer accounts for 1/3 of all cat deaths over the age of 10. So let's talk about the myths from an alternative point of view. These are 7 big ones I see repeatedly you really should be aware of. Number 1, this is a big myth that needs to be dispelled. It's the myth that cancer just happens. I don't know if there really is any underlying cause. Turns out there are many things that can be attributed to causing cancer. Your pet's genes play a role. Vaccines such as vaccine-induced sarcomas. Clear links with diet. Heavy metals found in many pet foods such as cadmium, lead, and zinc, they have all been linked to cancer. There are clear links with herbicides, pesticides, toxic household chemicals. There are just so many toxins linked to cancer. Unfortunately, we got our dog or cats walking in the grass that might be walking in that herbicide sprayed grass. So on their paws, they groom themselves, they ingest it. So then compared to us, their exposure gets quantified. Cancer is not just something that happens, there are many causes. And many of those, they're preventable. Number 2, spay and neuter your dog early so you can prevent things like mammary cancer. Turns out that one's wrong in a big way. New research has now come out showing that if you spay some dogs within the first 2 years of life, there's a marked increase in the risk of certain types of cancers. These include lymphoma, mast cell tumor, hemangiosarcoma, osteosarcoma. It's not affecting all dog breeds. Research is still ongoing, but the general consensus looking at this research is then delaying to at least the first few years of life before your dog is spayed or neutered. Clients were often told we want to spay your dog early before your dog ever comes in heat. Then we can minimize the chance of your dog ever getting mammary cancer. And that's something I said to thousands of clients. Turns out that was probably wrong advice, but I now, if I were to have a puppy, I would definitely delay and wait until be spaying or neutering him or her until 2 years of age. Myth number 3, the prognosis for cancer is always poor. That's not really true. First and foremost, depends on the type of cancer. I mean, is it a local type of cancer you can remove with surgery, i.e. a grade 2 mast cell tumor, or to something more serious like a lymphoma which spread throughout the body? Conventionally, there's been huge strides in cancer treatment. In some cases, there's now targeted specific therapy, i.e. immunotherapy. There are new drugs for lymphoma, new drugs for mast cell tumors. I've seen many animals respond well to the alternative treatments. I had clients with some cancers, bladder tumors, oral tumors, and we were able to manage those cancers so those dogs were able to live for a number of years. But in combining some of the conventional treatments, some of the alternative treatments, many dogs and cats are responding well, so it's not always a poor prognosis. Myth number 4, you need a whole bunch of regular diagnostic testing. Lots of regular blood work, maybe x-rays, other imaging. Let's stay on top of this cancer before it ever shows up in the first place. There was an interesting paper titled "When Diagnostic Testing Leads to Harm." The point of the paper is diagnostic tests are not always accurate. They can then lead the physician, the veterinarian down the wrong path, even more diagnostic tests, more invasive tests, and that can lead to injury to your dog, to your cat. Maybe your dog didn't need that liver biopsy in the first place. Now in veterinary medicine, there's new cancer screening tests available, specifically one from IDEXX, the Nu.Q cancer screening test. My concern is just how accurate are they? Then does this lead to more and more diagnostic tests? And if I've got an animal that's completely healthy, as I've just put them through a whole bunch of things that were not necessary. But ultimately, that's your choice. Myth number 5, chemotherapy, it is seriously bad for our pets. Chemotherapy, drug therapy, you're injecting or giving orally seriously toxic drugs to your dog, to your cat. But the goal here is to kill these rapidly dividing and likely spreading cancer cells. Unfortunately, by the time we're giving chemotherapy to many of our animals, I can think back in practice to these dogs, for instance, that had lymphoma. When you're giving it, you're just hoping for remission. Unfortunately, it's not curative. But for the majority of animals that we gave chemotherapy to in practice, they tolerated it really well. Very few dogs had side effects, very few were vomiting, none of them ever lost their hair. Would I ever consider chemotherapy? Say I had a young dog, a golden retriever, 3 years old, just being diagnosed with lymphoma. I think in that instance, I'd consider it. But I'd be doing it in conjunction with some of the alternative treatments as well. Myth number 6. Prevention with things such as supplements and diet, it's not going to make a difference. That's a myth. Can you prevent your dog or your cat from ever getting cancer? No, you can't fully prevent it, but you can sure go a long way to try to ensure that they don't get it. Such as number 1, diet. Feeding your dog less of this high carb kibble. Eliminating kibble for your cats. Cats are obligate carnivores. They are not meant to consume carbohydrates. Foods with healthy fats such as olive oil. There's specific diets now developed for animals that have cancer, and the basis of those diets, it's high protein, high animal protein, high fat, minimal to no carbohydrates. Cancer cells are thriving on those simple sugars. They're thriving from the breakdown products of the carbohydrates. So if that's the cancer diet, doesn't it kind of make sense? And it makes sense to me. We should probably be feeding our dogs or cats a diet similar to that. And there's a number of different supplements been shown to have cancer preventive properties. The omega-3 fatty acids found in krill. The good bacteria, the probiotics, they're a key part of your dog or cat having a normal functioning immune system. They're an ultimate canine, ultimate feline. The flavonoids such as EG, CG, and green tea, it's been shown to have cancer preventive properties. My point is, there are a number of things that you can be doing to help prevent your dog or cat from getting cancer. Myth number 7, the alternative treatments, they don't work. You being on the YouTube channel, you know we talk a lot about cancer on this channel. There are a number of different studied alternative treatments for cancer. Here are 5 I would consider using. The cannabinoids, CBD, THC. A pile of research has gone into these. As well, they're great painkillers. Really important for our animals that have cancer, often they're in pain. Dandelion root. It's been extensively studied, and I've done an entire video showing you how to make a dandelion root tea tincture. If I ever happen to have another animal with cancer, I'll definitely be considering this. There's a ton of research on melatonin and cancer. It's shown to be very beneficial, especially for the cancers that have a hormonal basis. If I had a dog with lymphoma, I'd be considering melatonin. The medicinal mushrooms. This medicinal mushroom turkey tail, it's considered a medicinal treatment for cancer in Japan. If I had an animal with cancer, I'd definitely be incorporating this mushroom turkey tail as part of the treatment regimen. Then last, think about using Panicure. It's a really old veterinary dewormer. It's now being used as an alternative cancer treatment. I've talked about it several times on the channel, and I've had many people write in and say this has helped their dogs. It's an inexpensive, safe option. I'd definitely be considering it. Many of those alternative treatments are backed by science, so I'll put links not just to those treatments, but also to some of the studies backing their effectiveness. So there they are, the top 7 pet cancer myths. Thanks so much for watching this edition of Veterinary Secrets. Click up there to subscribe, hit the bell to sign up for notifications, and when you click that link directly in the box below, I can send you a copy of my free book.